4 armed robbers killed in shootout with cops in Cyberjaya. Malaysia to reiterate call for reforms at UN General Assembly. Good afternoon, thanks for joining us, and you're watching News on 2 with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. Now, police have shot dead 4 armed men believed to be members of the Sri gang at the car park of a condominium in Cyberjaya. Now, all suspects were aged between 29 to 45. Selangor Police Chief Dr. Nur Azam Jamaluddin said the police received a distress call from a woman that was robbed by the 4 masked robbers at a house in Taman Segar, Perdana, Cheras. He said in the incident at about 9:30 a.m., 4 men armed with pistols and machetes launched an attack when the police were inspecting a Mercedes-Benz believed stolen from the victim's house. In the situation, the suspects also fired several shots, and which caused the police to return fire at the suspects, killing all of them, including 3 in the Mercedes.
Kes ini disiasat di bawah Seksyen 379A. Jadi hasil daripada semakan kami, rekod yang kami ada, kami dapati grup Sari ini telah terlibat dalam 21 kes, iaitu di Selangor 16 kes, manakala di 95 kes.
Dr. Nur Azam said several items believed to be obtained from their robberies were also seized. In Perak, a man was found dead, believed to be murdered in front of an auto accessory shop in Bandar Seri Botani, Ipoh last night. Ipoh Acting Police Chief Superintendent Muhammad Nordin Abdullah said the police received a report of a quarrel from a member of the public at about 8:05 p.m. at the incident site. Following the report, Superintendent Muhammad Nordin said the police rushed to the scene and found a man lying in a pool of blood with 3 stab wounds.
Berlumuran darah lah. Dan apabila kita buat siasatan awal, dapati terdapat 3 tekaman lah di bodi mangsa. 2 di depan dan 2 di belakang. Satu belakang. Dan kita percaya disyaki mangsa telah dibunuh lah.
Speaking at the crime scene, Superintendent Muhammad Nordin said the victim was stabbed with a sharp weapon. Initial investigations found that the 45-year-old victim had just rented the top portion of the premises 2 days ago and is still unemployed. The case is being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code. The Johor Customs Department and the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, MMEA, confiscated 2,172 bottles of contraband liquor worth 113,820 ringgit from a barge in waters of Pengerang. The foreign registered vessel was detained during a joint operation by the 2 agencies within Tanjung Penyusup waters in Pengerang at around 2:45 p.m. on 16 September. Johor Customs Department Director Muhammad Hamidan Mariani said its marine unit and MMEA inspected the barge and found the liquor hidden at the vessel's cargo area.
Hasil pemeriksaan rapi yang dibuat pada kapal tersebut didapati membawa 2,172 botol minuman keras pelbagai jenis yang disyaki barang tidak berkastam yang disembunyikan di dalam ruang kargo kapal tersebut.
Briefing reporters today, he said the contraband item's trade value is at 19,404 ringgit and its unpaid tax is 94,416 ringgit. 10 Indonesian nationals aged between 22 and 50 who were crew members were also detained. Also present was Johor MMEA Director First Admiral Aminuddin Abdul Rashid and other senior officers. Muhammad Hamidan said the case was classified under Section 49, Subsection 1 of the Customs Act 1967 and Section 135, Subsection 1, Subsection E of the same Act. In a separate case, he said the State Customs Department enforcement team discovered 1,200 hidden beer cans with a trade value of 3,000 ringgit with unpaid duties worth 18,496 ringgit during an inspection on a Toyota Alphard multi-purpose vehicle or MPV at Taman Austin on the same day at 3:30 p.m. The team managed to detain a local 40-year-old male suspect who has since been charged in the magistrate's court. The case was classified under Section 135, Subsection 1, Subsection E of the Customs Act 1967 and Section 74, Subsection 1, Subsection D of the Excise Act 1967. The Kuala Lumpur High Court had dismissed the application by Riza Shahriz Abdul Aziz, the stepson of former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Tun Razak, to transfer his money laundering charges involving 1.25 billion ringgit of 1MDB funds from the Sessions Court to the High Court. Now, Justice Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali ruled that Sessions Court judges were competent and able to hear such cases. Now, Judge Muhammad Nazlan added that it was not expedient in the ends of justice if the transfer of a case does not promote judicial efficiency and causes delay in the commencement of trials. Earlier, Riza's counsel, Dato Hariharan Tara Singh, in his submission said legal principles would be established in the case and it would be appropriate for the High Court to try such matters since foreign evidence may be adduced as the alleged offences occurred outside the country. Deputy Public Prosecutor Dato Sri Gopal Sri Ram objected to the application, saying that all the points raised by the defence can be equally dealt with by the Sessions Court. Previously, Judge Rosina Ayub set 6th to 9th January and 13th to 16th January 2020 for the trial. On 5th July, Riza pleaded not guilty at the Kuala Lumpur High Court to 5 charges of money laundering involving 1.5 billion ringgit. All of the offences were allegedly committed at Suntec Tower 1 in Singapore. The charges were framed under Section 4, Subsection 1, Subsection A of the Anti-Money Laundering and Anti-Terrorism Financing Act 2001, which carries a fine not exceeding 5 million ringgit or imprisonment not exceeding 5 years or both. Well, the government has been urged to abolish Section 309 of the Penal Code, which criminalizes suicide, as it is not something committed by criminals, but by desperate people suffering hardship and mental illness. Malaysian Psychiatrists Association Deputy President Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Muhsin Abdul Zahari said the government should review this section and as those who attempt suicide must be helped with psychiatric treatment and rehabilitation and not treated like criminals. Section 309 of the Penal Code stated whoever attempts to commit suicide shall be punished with imprisonment for a term that may extend to 1 year or with fine or both.
Kalau lapor nanti ataupun dapat rawatan, takut nanti korang kena charge sebab dia adalah satu di bawah kanun kesesaan Section 309 contohnya. Tapi saya sarankan kanun ini ataupun akta section ini perlu dimasukkanlah sebab banyak negara yang telah bergerak ke arah itu, yang dah berubah. Maksudnya kalau mereka ada percubaan bunuh diri, memang ini bukan masalah undang-undang. Ini masalah kesihatan.
He was speaking at Negeri Sembilan 2019 World Suicide Prevention Day closing ceremony in Seremban. According to the 2019 World Suicide Prevention Association report, suicide accounted for 1.4% of all deaths worldwide. Well, the Pahang state government had revoked the ownership of State Agricultural Corporation Perbadanan Kemajuan Pertanian Pahang PKPP over 600 hectares of land in Merapu, Kuala Lipis. In a statement, Water, Land and Natural Resources Minister Dr. Xavier Jayakumar said the land will be gazetted as a permanent forest reserve and water catchment area. Well, Dr. Xavier also explained that the hashtag Save Merapu video clip, which has been circulating in social media for the past 1 week, is an old video from last year. And according to him, the video depicts a forested area comprising 668.9 hectares in Merapu, Lipis near Kuantan, which was earlier slated for development including palm oil cultivation. However, after conducting a review last year, these plans were cancelled by the state government after considering the risk it could pose to the environment. The minister added that the state government had also agreed to gazette the land as a permanent forest reserve and water catchment area. The ministry welcomes any complaint or inquiry pertaining to forest issues through the contact below. Well, all schools in the country operate as normal today following the improved air quality. And the Education Ministry in a statement said any changes or new information would be relayed from time to time. Well, the statement said schools management have been reminded to follow the stipulated standard operating procedure and give priority to the health and safety of students and teachers at all times. For the latest information on status of schools due to the haze, now the public can surf the ministry's portal at moe.gov.my or its official social media channels. The highest air pollutant index API reading as at 6 p.m. yesterday was 188 at Johan Setia Klang, which is below the very unhealthy air category. And schools are required to close when the API breaches the 200 level. And now let's take a look at several areas with the highest API readings as of 11 a.m. today. Well, coming up next, condo apartment units dominate property overhang lists. Welcome back. Now, Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has arrived in New York today to attend the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA. He is expected to use the platform to further Malaysia's aspirations on the international stage. Well, Malaysia is playing a key role in the summit as the main organizer of the discussion session, which focuses on environmental stewardship to eradicate poverty. Now, Tun Dr. Mahathir will be speaking at several side events co-hosted by Malaysia. Among the discussion, the focus will be on the environmental stewardship in addressing poverty to achieve sustainable development for all. Now, this event is co-hosted by Turkey, Pakistan and the UN Department of Social Economic Affairs. Besides this, more than 20 bilateral meetings, talks and forums are slated for Tun Dr. Mahathir in New York. He is also expected to outline Malaysia's commitment and vision in working with other UN member states in achieving objectives under the theme of the 74th General Debate and beyond. The Premier's presence and speech are highly anticipated among the leaders and the global community. Speaking to Malaysian media in New York, Foreign Minister Dato' Saifuddin Abdullah said the main agenda of the visit will be Dr. Mahathir's speech at the 74th UNGA on September 27th. While he said Dr. Mahathir is expected to repeat Malaysia's call for urgent UN reforms.
Kita menjangkakan pada kali ini Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri akan menyentuh juga beberapa isu yang berkaitan dengan kepentingan institusi-institusi dan undang-undang dan peraturan antarabangsa. Walaupun institusi dan peraturan ini tidaklah sempurna, tetapi tampaknya itu akan memporak-porandakan lagi dunia.
This year's UN General Assembly is also a platform for Malaysia to highlight the foreign policy framework of the new Malaysia. The framework, launched on 18 September, will serve as a guideline for Malaysia in conducting foreign policy based on the current fast-changing global environment. The Cabinet will discuss the offer price rate to Kampung Baru land owners and manufacturers at its meeting on Wednesday. Now, Federal Territories Minister Khalid Abdul Samad said he would bring the matter to the Cabinet and Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad to find the best solution for everyone.
Lusa kabinet saya akan kalau dapat ruang saya akan brief Tun dan daripada situ kita fikirkanlah cara. Ya, memang semua orang nak lebih tinggi daripada apa yang ditawarkan. Kalau saya tawarkan 1,000 pun ada juga yang akan minta lebih daripada 1,000. Tapi apa yang kita kena buat, kita kena cari satu harga yang munasabah, yang memungkinkan projek ini menjadi viable. Dan kita kena ingat, akhirnya kita nak jual pun kita nak jual pada masyarakat Melayu. So dalam keadaan itu, kita tak boleh jual dengan harga yang mahal. Ya.
Khalid said after attending a program held at the Kuala Lumpur Homeless Transit Centre in Kuala Lumpur. Last Saturday, Khalid was quoted as saying that the government had offered 850 ringgit per square foot to landowners and benefactors for the redevelopment of Kampung Baru. According to Khalid, it was the highest rate assessed by the Valuation and Property Services Department JPPH after taking into account the factors of maintaining the condition to retain Malay ownership. He said the government also did not rule out the possibility of considering a higher price offer for the purchase. The property sector recorded an increase of 6.9% in terms of volume compared to 0.8% over the same period last year. Nevertheless, the Ministry of Finance said residential overhang continued to increase 1.5% or about 33,000 units. Now, Deputy Finance Minister Dato' Amiruddin Hamzah said condominiums and apartments dominate the list of property overhang in the country by over 43% overall.
Agensi yang berkaitan harus melihat perkara ini dengan lebih mendalam untuk pastikan tidak berlaku mismatch, ya. Supaya yang kita tahu ni dalam negara kita memang rakyat mencari-cari pejabat untuk mereka own, ya, untuk mereka miliki.
According to the National Property Information Centre, NAPIC, bulk of the overhang units were condominium and apartment units priced between 200 to 300,000 ringgit, mainly in Johor and Perak. As such, Dato' Amiruddin urged both developers and authorities who approve development projects and property prices to pay attention to this overhang data. He said this after launching the real estate market briefing for the first half of 2019 and the Unsold Property Inquiry System Malaysia, UPESM 2.0 in Kajang, Selangor. The traffic congestion during peak hours at Jalan P. Srinivasan, which is partly caused by the narrow road, will end soon as the road widening project in the area had commenced yesterday and was expected to complete by early next year. Johor Menteri Besar Dato' Dr. Shahruddin Jamal said the upgrading works costs around 1.45 million ringgit and it will be borne by the Kluang Municipal Council and a private developer, Tong Tor Sendirian Berhad.
Berpuas hati melibatkan semua agensi, YB pun semua ada. Projek menaik taraf persempangan Srivasan lah. Okey, alhamdulillah projek bernilai lebih kurang hampir 2 juta. Dan saya rasa ini merupakan satu projek yang bagus di mana semua agensi, semua masyarakat berganding bahu untuk merealisasikan projek naik taraf.
The Menteri Besar was speaking of the project's groundbreaking ceremony in Kluang, Johor. The upgrading works involve the relocation of utilities, including widening the existing lanes from 3.5 meters to 4 meters and adding a new 4-meter lane which spans 550 meters in distance. Well, Johor Darul Tazim JDT powerful defender Muhammad Aidil Zafwan Abdul Razak has been recalled to the national squad as preparation to face Vietnam in the third Group G match in the second round of the World Cup 2022 Asian Cup 2023 qualifiers next month. Now, Aidil Zafwan, 32, who held 6 Super League consecutive titles with JDT since 2014, was among the important figures who assisted Harimau Malaya to emerge as 2018 AFF Cup runners-up before being sidelined by head coach Tan Cheng Ho in the Air Marine Cup 2019 in March. Now, the reliable defender was not listed in the national squad in the first 2 qualifying round matches against Indonesia and United Arab Emirates, that's UAE, earlier this month. And the recall of Aidil Zafwan by Cheng Ho was not surprising considering his vast experience in defence, which appeared not so satisfactory in the first 2 matches. Now, the combination of Shahrul Mohammad Saad and Adam Nur Azlin, which Cheng Ho depended on earlier, was not so effective as there were several mistakes which resulted in the Malaysian goal being penetrated 4 times. Now, Football Association of Malaysia, FAM, in a statement said Cheng Ho also included Selangor midfielder Abdul Halim Sari, 24, in the list of 25 players for centralised training starting next Monday. Meanwhile, Felda United winger Muhammad Hadin Azman, who failed to perform well in the first 2 games, was the only player dropped by Cheng Ho. Now, before the match against Vietnam at the My Dinh National Stadium on 10th October, the national squad will have a Tier 1 Tier 1 international match against Sri Lanka at the National Stadium in Bukit Jalil this coming 5th October. Now, Malaysia will face Hong Kong in another Tier 1 international game at Hong Kong Stadium on 15th October. And that's all the time we have this afternoon. In our top story, 4 armed robbers killed in shootout with cops in Cyberjaya. Do join us again at 7 p.m. for more updates on the latest happenings here and around the world. Thanks for watching. Mohammed Amin Carlos, and do stay tuned to TV2.